Welcome to the Makeover Your Mindset podcast. I'm Cassie MacKenzie. Think of me as your BFF for manifestation and high vibe mindset makeovers. It's my personal mission to turn your inspiration into action so you can be, do, and have everything you've ever dreamed of having in life. This podcast will focus a ton on creating fulfilling relationships with money, friends, and soulmates, and inspire you to have fun so you can live the most extraordinary life you've ever imagined. If you're ready to take to the next step, then you've come to the right place. Thanks again for joining me. Now let's begin. Hello, my manifestation queen. I'm Cassie MacKenzie. I am so incredibly excited to bring this episode to you. So it comes from the recent round of Manifestation Queen Academy that's actually still going on right now. It's going to wrap up next week. I'm so excited. It's been so transformative already. And this part was just too good to share. Oftentimes I get asked what happens if I make my vision board and it doesn't excite me? Or, I'm not feeling any feelings towards any of the things I picked out. And also, alternatively, I'm trying to manifest these other things into my life and it's not coming. So what in the world is going on? This is such a great topic. And I always love when people ask to me because it really helps to clarify, what exactly it is that you want based on the 3 questions that I give at the beginning of this excerpt from the course the other day. So with that, I will let you go and let's get it on. If you feel like you love this podcast and you want to leave a 5-star rating and a review, I would absolutely love you. That way more people can find it. And also I can, if you tag me on Instagram, let me know what you think about each of these podcast episodes. I am at Makeover Your Mindset. I absolutely love hearing all of your feedback and everything. So with that, I will let you go and enjoy. Thank you. There's always something that's said that if something hasn't shown up yet, then there could be a few reasons for that. So you want to take a look really and see what part of me doesn't want it. Is there a part of me that doesn't want it? Is there a part of me that thinks something bad will happen if I get it? Or is there some part of me that believes that I can't have it yet? And so really dig deep and ask if any of that exists. Because if any of that exists, then it's going to throw up resistance and the energy is not going to be as clean when you're, thinking the thoughts of having that job and feeling the feelings of having that job, right? So usually, let me give you an example. So when I think of a situation, when I was looking for a job in San Diego, I was interviewing I probably interviewed for 90 pharmaceutical jobs and didn't get them. And then the ones that I did get were just enough money to get by. And there was one that was just really, really crazy. I got hired through one of our friends. It was a common friend's former company, and the owner of the company was really wacky and made you stay at his house, and it had samurai swords and knives and shit, and it was really fucking crazy, right? It was crazy. And then as the things unfolded with that job, it was just continuous craziness too. It was not a good match for me. But I worked for them for 6 weeks or so. And so it was enough to get me back up to that point where I could survive on that money. I had money to spend. But what that also coincided was with meeting my husband. So when I moved to San Diego, I was on unemployment. So it was perfect, right? I could look for a job and, at least pay my bills and stuff. And then I kept interviewing for these really amazing jobs, and then the same thing would happen. It would get filled. And there was a part of me, though, after I met him, where I was worried that if I got the job, that I wouldn't be able to see him. So here's what happened. When we first met, we were in San Diego. The yacht that he worked on was in San Diego for about 2 months, maybe, almost 2 months. So we were dating continuously, getting really serious. And then they found out one day he comes over and he's so we're leaving. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, they told us at lunch that we're leaving. I think we're going to Russia. Like, we don't really know. We don't know how long we're going to be there. We don't ever know. I think we're supposed to go to Europe after that, like for the springtime. And this was like August. So I was like, what in the actual, like, seriously, this is really happening? Like, how can this happen? How am I ever going to see this guy? Like, we totally hit it off. And like, if I work for a company and I have 2 weeks vacation, then am I only supposed to see this guy like 2 weeks over the next like 8 months? Like, how's that ever going to work out? And so that really got me in my head a lot. So there was a huge part of me that didn't want the job. There was a huge part of me that looked for jobs for the money, right? Like, to earn money, to be able to pay bills and have this lifestyle that I imagined having, like, in San Diego. But I also never imagined that I'd find a guy that worked on a yacht that then, you know, one day they were there and then all of a sudden they weren't, right? So if I had a job, it would have prohibited me from dropping everything in the last minute to go see him versus having just enough to get by to go make the trips to see Ian and to like actually go for like 3 weeks over Christmas time. Like, I went there. If I had a corporate America job, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So like, going back to those first 3 questions, if I asked like what part of me doesn't really want the job, there was like a huge part of me that didn't want the job. So there could have been things that like I didn't quite do to like the extent that I needed it to do it in order to get the job, or I was sidetracked, or maybe my head was somewhere else. Like, when I'd go, I was like more concerned about, you know, texting him and figuring out where the hell they were than I was about like doing the actual interview prep, right? So when I think back on that whole situation, it wasn't until I got back from seeing him for like 3 weeks in South Africa where like we became like serious and official and all that, that I really was like, okay, I'm going to go back and look for a job now. Like, now's the time. January is good. Like, there's a lot of jobs that come out in January. So like, I'll have no problem. So like, I made the decision. It was locked in. I had no doubt that I would go back and then a job would come through. Whereas before, it was this kind of trepidatious energy of like, yeah, what if I don't have a job and I can't pay my bills? But then also, what if I have a job and I can't see Ian? Like, which one's more important? You know, like, I was thinking in kind of a limited space back then, because who knows? What if I got a remote job, which allowed me to go for like a month to go wherever the hell I wanted to and get paid more than I did in pharma? You know, like, there's all of these things that go on behind the scenes, and it's really us. Like, we limit it by worrying about like how it's going to unfold. So ask yourself those 3 questions. Like, what part of me doesn't want it? What part of me believes I can't have it? Like, is it in your head you think it's too hard? Like, it wouldn't make any sense for it to come together that way, because nothing in manifestation really makes logical sense, right? Like, there's so many other infinite ways that it can unfold. Like, your only job is to feel good about it and to feel good about it working out and knowing like it's going to work out eventually in your favor. So when it works out in your favor, then you're going to know like, oh, it was fine all along. You'll be able to look back and see how all the pieces fell together, right? So let me know how that goes. Thank you so much for choosing to push play on another episode of the Makeover Your Mindset podcast. If you absolutely loved today's episode, please take a minute to screenshot the episode, put it on Instagram, tag me, and let me know what's working for you. I absolutely love hearing from each and every one of you, and I love being able to bring this podcast to you on a weekly basis. Also, please take a minute if you're loving the podcast and leave a rating and a review. I absolutely love each and every review that's been put on iTunes. They help us reach more people, help more people find out about the Makeover Your Mindset podcast, and keep the good stuff coming to you. Thanks again so much. I love you all, and I look forward to meeting here again next week.